Good afternoon. Patrick here, 8 Questions With, and it's Tuesday. And if I'm here live on a Tuesday, that pretty much can assure you one thing. We are on the road. If we're doing it this early, we are on the road, and we are. We are heading over to Sweden today to talk to filmmaker Gustav Ljungdahl. He will be here in about 15 minutes. And this will be our first time interviewing anybody from Sweden, which is sort of like embarrassing if you ask me, because as far as like acting goes and directing goes, I mean, Sweden is a powerhouse. I should have. I mean, how many great actors have come from Sweden? It would boggle your mind if you really thought about it. People who have come from there. Um, People like Dolph Lundgren, Nina Olin. My current favorite Swedish actress, Rebecca Ferguson. Uh, you have just an amazing. I think wow, the Max von Sydow, the Scar Guards, the brother and the dads, the two brothers and the dad. Um, Ingmar Bergman. Of course, you have to have him. Um, just absolutely. Naomi Rapace. Of course, she's very well known actress. Or probably actually the no, probably Rebecca Ferguson first, but Naomi is right behind her as far as recognition goes. You've seen her do plenty of films here. Um, and so to get a chance to talk to a Swedish artist was something I just could not pass up. And so I reached out to Gustav and I said, would you be willing to do the show? And he was very gracious and he said, yes, he'd love to talk. So this will be our first interview with a Swedish filmmaker. Gustav both acts and he directs as well. So he's got a nice body of work we can talk about. Looks like he loves horror films. He's been in movies. He's directed movies such as Jaws of the Shark, Kill Team, Social Media Massacre, and The Floor Beyond, or The Floor Below, and we'll be talking about to him about that as well. Uh, there's one there's one movie we'll have to talk to him about because I'm looking at the title and wondering. I am surprised that the title still flies, but we'll talk to him about it because we know us. We never shy away from anything. Um, I want to give a quick couple of shout outs. I want to say a shout out to our friend Kelly Helen Thompson. Her cat Ghost passed away after 19 years. Um, Kelly was a guest on the Midnight Hour twice. Hobbs found her, and we had two terrific interviews with her. What's really funny is like I he booked her for the Midnight Hour, and then he got sick, so he asked me, "Could you do the interview?" So I did. And throughout the whole interview, her cat was stealing scene. Her cat was sitting behind her, just being super cute. And Ghost she had her own IMdb page, and Ghost did a lot of movies. Uh, um, Mr. Dan says have to watch that Cynthia Rothrock interview. Yeah, that's from Gareth. Gareth did that, Mr. Dan. Oh, there's Gareth right there. Yeah. How about that? Gareth's got some fire, man. He got Matthias Hughes, uh, which I'm just like I'm pretty happy because I got to talk to Marshall Teague. We're talking about big bad guys. But yeah, that's a corker right there. Cynthia Rothrock. That's a feather. That's a cool one to have. Um, so I definitely recommend watching that. Um, but like I said before, about Ghost, and Ghost passed away this week at 19 years old, and I just wanted to say, really sorry to Kelly. Ghost had a great run, 19 years. I hope I get that long with Paladin. Um, and and right after it happened, that same week, all of a sudden she got asked to cat watch, a cat from a elderly person who went to it looks like it's to a final resting place, a nursing home, and probably won't be coming back. And her landlord asked her if she could watch the cat. So I think Kelly would be fine. I think she's got herself probably not expected quite as fast as she probably wanted to, but she definitely got a cat to watch over. So, and yeah, we'll have to get Kelly on here one of these days. I keep on meaning to talk to her about it, and it just slips away from me, and I don't know why. Um, Sort of like why I don't know why I haven't talked to a Swedish artist yet. This is ridiculous. I truly am embarrassed. It's like, it's like what are the great movies, as far as the better talent in the history of films. Um, and this is the first one I've ever had on the show. That's just not. I don't know. There's something really wrong about that. But this is the first of two, and we are coming back tonight at 8 o'clock, and we will be talking with filmmaker Ryan Hartman. He is one of the Edmonton actors. Edmonton has a very vibrant film community, as we have talked to Brandon Rhines and Jamie Hill and the lovely Elizabeth Chamberlain, among others that have come from Canada and from Edmonton itself. So we have another one, Ryan Hartman, up and coming. I got to watch his short film, Auto Heist, last night. That's pretty damn good. It's really good, actually. I'll be doing a review of it after my interview with him. I'll be posting my review of it after that interview. I was really impressed. It's a nice little 12-minute a spicy bite. So, yeah. Hey Jim, how are you? How are you? Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Jim will be with Sean and Ken talking movies. Um, and rumor has it there could be a new third co-host for the show. I'm not sure if that's true or not. I'm trying to make it happen for you. But there could be a new co-host on Talking Movies with Ken and Sean. But tonight they are talking about comedies. That'll be a really interesting show. Uh, Good to see comedies are being talked about more and more now. Still haven't really seen too many at the theater, for really. We have action comedy, we have, but we don't have any just straight out, like comedies. I don't think we've had it since last year when Jennifer Lawrence did her movie. All right, the doorbell has rang, so that means our guest Gustav is here. So please stay here. Thank you for coming in and share us out if you will, and let's talk movies with Swedish actor and director Gustav Ljungdahl. Here we go. Probably killed his name too. Uh,
Is this better?
Ta-da! There he is.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Fantastic.
How are we doing the last name? Is it Ljungdahl or is it Longdahl?
Ljungdahl.
Youngdahl. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a
The L was
silent
funny.
L for some reason.
It makes your name all that more impressive looking. Like,
Yeah.
well, I have to admit, and I don't know if you heard this before you came onto the show, but I've almost done almost 400 of these, and you are my first actor or director from Sweden, and I was
Interesting.
thinking, I'm so embarrassed by that. Um,
Well, someone needs to be the first one.
Yes, but it should have been a long time ago because, Sweden is just an absolute powerhouse when it comes down to developing acting talent, directing talent. If you go back and look at the history of Sweden in Hollywood,
Yeah,
the influence there is just amazing.
Well, there is a lot of Swedish people who has succeeded in Hollywood, and I can only see this as when I talk about it on the news and stuff. Like, oh, another Swedish actor has now had a success in Hollywood. Yeah, because you don't have success here.
Yeah,
I think that's the problem, because the market is so small and stuff like that. So if your talent is wanted in bigger productions, so good for
but you know,
you.
it's sort of sort of like a catch-22. You get that newsletter, you get that news saying, another Swedish actor has made it big in Hollywood, and like you said, he's like, because they can't make it big here. Yet at the same time, you see them that they made it big in Hollywood. So why hasn't their success there translated back to here in Sweden? Like if I'm a young filmmaker such as yourself, I see someone like a Skarsgård or a Ferguson or a Rapace, and all of a sudden it's like, I want to do that, but I want to do it here. I want to do it right here in my own hometown. Why can't I make that happen?
Well, this has been like a discussion about this for some time, and I have actually been to like regional gatherings when they have spoke about this, and I usually come up with the answer that nobody likes. That I don't think you are marketing your movie at all. That is the problem, because the money goes only to make the movie and not into marketing the movie that it exists. So. And there's actually is a very relevant case of this at the moment, because I was very recently involved in the making the Evil Dead musical here.
Really?
And yes, and I had to swoop in there to save the production, because the set builder and the effect person that he had, he left the production 3 weeks before the deadline of. So I have built the whole cabin in a week.
Wow.
Yes.
So now, wow. I've heard rumors about the Evil Dead being made into a musical. I didn't know if it had, because I wasn't sure that it had actually there had been a book written for it yet, a musical book written for it yet. Is it a
Yeah, it was in
musical?
2003.
Okay. Now, is it a musical or is it?
Yes, it's a musical. In 2003, they had it off Broadway. I think it was the first time they put it up, and then they have put it up in multiple countries, and now it's the first time in Sweden.
Okay. Uh, Obviously, the big question would be is, are you aware of the movie? You've already obviously
Of
seen the
course.
movie. You're a big fan of the movies. Now, which one of the three is your favorite? One, two, or three?
Well, I mean, the first two. I mean, the first one
Uh,
because it is legitimately scary, and the other one because it's a fantastic comedy.
yeah, people talk about that, about the three movies. I'm so with you. The first two movies are horror classics. I mean, they really are. But for the life of me, as much as I love Bruce Campbell, I cannot get into Army of Darkness as thinking as a being with the first two films. I look at it as a standalone, like it's all by itself. It's its own thing. Because I love the first two. The first two are just absolutely lights out as far as scares and terrifying moments and what have you. But the third one, um, I'm not really dissing Army of Darkness. It's like, to me, it's like, I just want to tell Sam Raimi that just get the comedy out of your system. You want to make a straight comedy, you can do it. There's not, if you could walk inside any studio today and sit there and say, I want to make a comedy with you. And every single studio
But
would take a chance to do that with Sam Raimi.
I think he tried that before he made Army of Darkness, and it was not a very big success.
Oh, he tried to make it he tried to do it with Spider-Man 3, and that was not a success either. It's just like, just do the comedy. It's okay, but quit mixing up. Quit doing horror movies and putting making it into a comedy or a superhero movie and putting a musical number in it. It's just like, just for God's sakes, just make the movie you want to make. You have the clout, do it. Um, how about you? I mean, obviously, you said the first two films. Do you consider yourself like a film purist?
Uh,
Gustav?
well, not really, because I consume a lot of things, but because I think it is you limit yourself and your inspiration, everything, if you just gonna, oh, this is the only good one, nothing else will do. I mean, you have to have an open mind on everything you watch.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. I mean, and Jamie's commenting about horror comedy go together like peas and carrots. I need those moments of levity now and then. I can understand that, but I don't want it there throughout the whole movie. I don't mind once in a while a joke, a crack or something. I don't mind that I don't mind that in a dramatic film. I don't mind you know I can think of right away. I can think of Steel Magnolias after Sally Field goes eight. She goes crazy after her daughter dies, and she's screaming and she's raging against the wind, and she's so angry. And then one of the other ladies says, "Hit her, hit Wheezy." Now that was a funny moment, and I could see that actually happening. But I don't want to see those kind of moments throughout that movie. I don't want to see,
Yeah.
oh gosh, we got one joke in. Let's go for three more. Let's go for five more. I don't want that in my horror either. I want to be on my edge of my seat. I don't want to be sitting there, busting a belly. Oh, that's so funny. He pops, when how like Freddy making one-liners, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just like, how I don't get it. How are we making this guy into a comic with one-liners when the storyline has him as a child killer or a child molester? How are anything how
Well, it's not one dimensional, at least, and
well, it's just to me it's just like I don't know. It's just to me it's just like it's just a I guess I mean let me ask you a question since you're
yeah.
a film director. How would you direct a movie like Nightmare on Elm Street? How would you approach it?
Well, I'm making something like it in pre-production at the moment,
Oh,
which is the movie is about that you can record someone's feelings and then sell them to some other person. So if someone is like constantly happy, you can sell that to a depressed person, or selling like being newly in love and sell it, record that and sell it. And but due to this will not make a very good drama in that regard, so they're just gonna they take the most questionable feelings that you've always been curious. How does it feel when someone is a cannibal?
oh,
So you can
yeah.
record that and sell it, and then we have to illustrate this like with visuals in an interesting way. And that would be like they go into the mind and you see what they are experience, and then you portray that with visuals. So I would do something like that because it's gonna be like weird dream scenarios to cut into visualize their feelings.
That's a really interesting aspect, and I've only
There's a
seen one. I've only seen one movie like that. Well, I guess they tried that earlier this year with In a Violent Nature. They tried to have you see what the serial killer, like a Jason type character, what they feel, what they're what they're going through as they go forward. I mean, every horror movie we always see the killer, but we don't know anything about him. We don't know anything about him. We don't know any emotion or anything. Um, and we just don't get it. We don't get that. All we get is 8 kills a minute.
Yeah.
A young, but we don't understand. We don't get the chance to experience it. What's it like from his point of view? And I really like that. And I recently saw a film called The Cured, and in it shows there was a virus that made people into zombies, but they found a cure for it. But the people who have been affected, they still remember what they did. They still remember the people they killed. Highly original. Never saw anything like that before.
Is
I
this
liked it.
the Norwegian series?
No, this
Or
was
is-
an Irish movie.
Okay, because there is they made a series out of the book. It's called like Managing of the Dead, which is based on a Swedish author's book about how you deal with the people who are coming back to life. Basically, well, it sounded like it, but it probably this has been explored before. Two movie syndrome.
You know what? I have never seen anything like that. Because we always it's always from the point of the we see the monsters or we see the zombies or whatever, but we don't see it from their point of view. And to go inside somebody's head and realize that maybe they're not quite as dead as you think, that gives you a lot of food for thought.
Yes.
I think the only other horror character I think the only other horror character that I can think of that we do that with, and not in every movie, but is maybe a vampire movie. You see it from the point of view from the vampire. Maybe.
Yes.
Why do you think, as a screenwriter and as a director, why do you feel that? Why do you feel that that's like people don't they want to write about monsters, serial killers or what have you, but they're scared to go inside their heads?
I mean, the first thing is that it's I think it's quite hard to also try to pitch something like this is the emotions I want you to express, and like giving the backstory, like the Jeffrey Dahmer TV series on Netflix, which I think was quite good because you don't see him as a one-dimensional person, but still it's not very hard to get into his head and like try to understand why his motives was. Even though that was unintentionally funny many times, that series.
Mac Chatz is in here, and this is totally off. I was blown away by this. He just said that he worked on The Cured, and it was shot in Lebanon.
Oh,
Yeah, I had no
yeah.
idea. That's yeah. We just covered that movie a couple of weeks ago on another show that I do, and yeah, yeah. It's a great movie. It really is.
The
Uh,
Cure.
yeah, The Cured. Yeah, that's a very cool movie. Let's see. In Strange States, Ralph Fiennes sells recordings from other people's minds. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that is a hard movie to find too, Jamie. That is a hard movie. And I have friends who contributed songs to the soundtrack.
What was the
And
title of that movie?
Strange Days with Ralph
Oh,
Fiennes.
yeah. Oh, yes. Strange
Yeah,
Days. Yes.
yeah,
And there's another one that's called Come True, when they also
yeah,
record people's dreams, and it's like
yes.
really
That's
fantastically bizarre visuals.
yes, that is another ISC Midnight film, as is The Cured. Oh my gosh, we're gonna be best friends forever now. You're dropping ISC films on me. Oh, that is tight. All right. Um, wow, what a great start to this conversation. Thank you so much for this, and thank you again for coming. Um, so let's talk about you for a little bit.
Yes.
Yes. So we're gonna sink it. We got some time. We're gonna sink our teeth into this. Um,
Yes, I'm sure we were going to derail this conversation and talk about other things along the
oh
line.
no, we're talking. Oh no, this is about you. We're
Yeah,
gonna.
yeah, but the best conversations
Yes.
goes places.
Yes. Oh yeah. I don't have any questions here. There are people sitting in the chat are going like, no. Well, they can tell you. They can tell you in the chat that this guy and preset questions never happened. No. He just flaps his lips. Um, but let's talk about your start of your career. Uh, obviously, just a rich bed of influence. I mean, as a film, as a cinephile, as someone who loves film, I mean, your middle of Sweden, yes, there's not that many being made, but there are a lot of people that you know that are making it happen for themselves and putting Sweden on the map and keeping it on the map. So, how did you get your start as a filmmaker? I mean, you also act as well. So,
Yes,
what
I
can,
do a lot of things, but
yeah,
I think the whole thing started basically with I was an 8-year-old boy and I saw a picture of the alien monster. Like, what's that, Mom? Tell me. And she's like, I don't know, but my friend here, she knows. And then I got this art book from H.R. Geiger, yes,
yeah, we got
with the
you. We
alien
got
monster,
you.
all this art basically, and the alien monster was in there, and I was so fascinated by all his pictures, and then she told me like, yeah, this is built from a bicycle pump, and these are the engine parts on the alien monster and stuff like that, and I realized that also Star Wars was basically made out of old things. I want to do this when I grow up. And then it came to a point where this career might not be feasible here. And then I saw Bad Taste and the documentary, like, you can do this by yourself.
Yeah.
And that started it. So then from that point on, when I was like 13, I decided to make my own movie, and
I
it just has to gone all that way because I made like monsters and props and effects and stuff like that. So and also because I didn't really have a very good computer and internet until like 2009. So but because I live in an area where the broadband was not developed until that point. It still isn't, but it's better now than it was before. They are gonna dig fiber optics maybe in 2030 at the moment where I live. So yeah. Anyway,
well,
so I
yeah, we,
started
it,
making my own movie and um, and other effects and monsters and stuff. So I have become like self-contained to all the things. So I've made like 11 movies at this point.
you know, of all the people I've talked to, and as far as filmmakers go, and what I've seen, I think I think the most singular advancement in technology, which to me really doesn't get a lot of. I mean, people know about it and they'll talk about it once they hear about it, but unless it's brought up, they won't mention it. But I think the most singular and most important piece of technology that allowed anybody to make a film has been the digital camera.
Oh yes, oh
It's a
yes,
game changer.
absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
without that, independent film as we know it, especially now. Could you imagine trying to still film now? I mean, it would. I don't think independent film would have survived.
I think it has. I think it should be had been like stagnated from the 80s if the digital camera was never invented. Because now you can basically need like a camera and a laptop to make a movie, and even like because you also the editing was easier because editing when on the VHS was a pain in the ass.
Now, do you edit your own films as well?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I've also come to the conclusion that directors make the best editors.
Yes, because
Yeah.
you're not gonna. Oh, that was not how I intended it to be. Oh, then they explain that to me. Then that's a problem. Then you're like, this is how I want it, so that is how I'm shooting it.
Uh, uh, let's see. Mac mentions uh, "Good Taste Made Bad Taste" is a great documentary.
Yes.
For any DIY filmmaker starting out, it really does burst the bubble on how to make a film and show it, and show that you don't need much. Yeah, I mean, you get a digital camera. I mean, people are making films off of iPhones for Christ's sakes.
Oh yes.
Yeah, isn't that something else? Walking back, and you see them walk. You see them walking with either holding their phone or having a little clip on there, and there's this tiny ass phone, and that's what they're making their. They had all the lighting and everything else like a movie pit, like a regular sounds, a shooting area, and then you wait to see him. Here comes the cameraman, and he's got this little iPhone. It's pretty interesting. Um,
Yeah, but it's also very good that you can fit everything in one car.
yeah, Um, so how, so you're 13, you wanted to make films. Now,
Yes.
were you, did you want to direct first or did you want to act first?
It was more like, well, first I thought about being an actor because I'm very good at doing like imitations and stuff like that, and impressions and things like that. But it just blended to like the necessity of you don't have people around that have all the skills, so you kind of have to learn all the skills.
Yeah. So I mean, as you move forward, as far as, either acting or directing, I guess directing probably more so than, well, I guess both sides of it. Did you find, was it harder to find, was it harder to find roles as an actor versus, directing? Was it easier to direct or was it easier to act in Sweden for
I
you?
mean, yeah, well, the acting parts has usually become, people that I know that say, "Oh, you would fit fantastic for this," and I say, "Absolutely, I would show up." But when it comes to like auditioning for roles and stuff like that, I usually don't get the parts. But it for me it doesn't matter really, because if I can, in my own movies, I'm always someone in a costume because we are, you have to use every people we can. So I was like, you can direct and be on the screen. Like, please say it like this, and I will walk over this and with a mask on or something.
Oh my God, that's got to be so hard though. I mean, I've heard about that, but that's got to be difficult to be an
Not
actor.
necessarily, because you have playbacks, and also that the guy who I usually film with nowadays, well, I trust him to make a good shot, so I don't have to worry about that.
Um, let's see. Brian mentions Brian A. Graff Productions. He says, "I will be the first to make a feature on a Samsung Galaxy." Uh,
Go
why
ahead.
not? Why not? I think you pretty much make you probably much make a film pretty much with any phone. I'm thinking about, these days. I
I
could be
mean,
wrong about that, but I would think that
this
it.
thing has even 4K, so
So, let's talk. What was the first film that you directed? I mean, I already know that, but I wanted you to talk to
yes.
us about it.
We did one that was never finished, and I come to the conclusion that this we need to start over with the knowledge we have from this not finished movie. So I made
That
a
was
little
that the one
short.
with was that the one with the controversial title?
No, this
Yeah.
is late. Yeah, we tried to make this, and I think it was called Forest Animal, and this was basically bad taste. Um, but uh, because that kind of comedy, I really digged it. And then we did a bunch of shorts for a while, and we tried to send them to MTV, which they did not answer. Also because MTV in Sweden couldn't really do anything, because they just broadcasted whatever was from America, basically. They did not have any own production, but nobody really told me this. I just sent this to a bunch of TV networks, which they didn't want to pick it up anything. And then we basically come to the conclusion that we should do a real movie. And due to that point, when we made this, we were like, oh, this superhero movies are already tiring and absurd in 2007.
Um, yeah.
So we basically
Was it,
we saw Stephen Lynch live, and he performed the superhero song that he made. But the audience kind of ruined it because they just started to scream out everything else from his comedy specials. And we basically, well, we should take these inappropriate superheroes and make a movie about it. So we
so,
made Rape Man, the Night Humper. He's fighting
oh,
crime with his super penis.
so what was the reaction to that movie?
Most people laughed, and nobody didn't really care about it because some people said, "Oh, it was so funny" and stuff like that. And it's like crappy, which is was, of course, your first movie
Sure,
will be crappy. That is.
sure.
But then again, making a movie and releasing it on DVD and stuff like that is, a big stepping stone for many. Many people don't even get that far. So we
Yeah,
made that.
they shoot the film, but they don't ever actually put it together. That's also, or they run out of money.
Yes,
How did you, what was your budget for what was your
nothing.
budget for Right
Nothing.
Now? Nothing. Like a sandwich.
Yeah, well, it was basically me and Jesper and some of my classmates made that movie together on like our spare time, and well, we learned a lot on that production, and it was catastrophically miserable because in the end of the editing process before we were going to release it, my uncle died, so I was not very in a good shape because I was very, very sad about that.
Sure.
Yeah, but then we finished it, and well, no, it was not, good, but again,
Of course. I mean, but then again, you said you did short film, so you learned your craft as
yeah.
you. So I mean, every movie that you make, it should be, should show improvement. So I'm sure by the time you got to your first feature, it was much better than your first short.
Oh yes, but some people, oh, shouldn't you like delete that from internet? I'm like, no, I should not, because I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, the
Even though it
title,
have a
the title is like, I saw the
yeah,
title. I'm going like, we'll have to talk about that because I'm just curious. What was that movie? And then you're saying it's a parody of superhero
yes,
movies.
yes, because that was basically we come to the conclusion that that would be the most offensive superhero name, that the superhero that you don't want to show up.
Yeah.
And then David Chappelle basically did this exact joke a few years ago.
I wonder if he saw your movie.
I don't know. I don't think so. I
Did
know someone who has worked with him. I don't think he showed it to him.
Now you said that one of the things I mentioned, I heard you say was the fact that you actually were able to put it out on a DVD.
Yeah.
That's very cool. I mean, now that's what kind of pool at the time, by the time you made your first film, what kind of talent pool and crew pool did you have to draw upon? Was there a lot of people that you
No,
just, if you needed a lighting guy, if you needed a grip, if you needed
no, we did all this by ourselves because there was no one around. All of this changed a bit later on because we still did our own lighting, me and Jesper, basically, to for a long time. Because then when I got Facebook, then it was much easier to connect to people. Because otherwise it was like, oh, but if you're gonna make a movie, just put it on in the stores, like, or talk to a distributor. Yeah, who are they? Which are the distributor? I don't know.
Are there film distributors in Sweden now?
Yes, there is. And there's a very interesting clip from an old show where they also made an extremely offensive joke, and all of them who are on the table are the people who are the biggest distributor at the moment in Sweden.
Hopefully they have a good sense of humor.
Yeah, most of them have, because they one of them he distributed Brain Dead back in the day here in Sweden, which was a little bit of an interesting idea because it was still censoring and stuff in Sweden here. But so he had a good taste to distribute Brain Dead.
Well,
Peter Jackson's zombie movie,
my question, I'm looking at this now, and it's like you got your first movie out. I'm sure, like you said, I'm sure, the title itself was going to generate.
Yeah.
It was going to generate interest, either negative or pro. You guaranteed yourself one thing. You guaranteed yourself you're going to be talked about. I mean, your first film is going to be talked about by either
and
feminists
that has never happened.
Want to burn you at the stake, or jockheads who think that's the funniest thing since sliced bread. But you guaranteed yourself notoriety. You're on the map. So
and that didn't happen.
No, but that was the first.
Yeah, but it didn't happen. Nothing happened. It was like, oh, okay, made some movie, whatever.
I mean, okay, what is the press like? This is a question you can apply now and back then. But
we
what's the,
send this to every newspaper we could think about, and nobody write about it.
wow? Yeah, you would have you if you if you sent it over here now, you would get yeah, you wouldn't have to worry about that. There'd be people that would be. I'm already in my head. I'm already going like, yeah, I wonder what YouTube's gonna do to me because I keep saying the word rape man on here. It's like talking about a movie here, but
Probably
I'm sure they're
nothing.
gonna sit there and say that's evil. Snow says that she wants to watch your movie. I want to watch the movie. Um,
Yeah, it was on streaming for a while, but that was on a questionable streaming service that basically had they did not market it or anything, so it just came and it went. And I
mhm.
asked him because he was also my agent for a while until I gave up because I asked people to send him emails with job offerings to me, like, can he make a superhero costume or whatever, like really serious things or like really silly things. And no emails got to me. So I'm like, okay, I'm losing job having this man. Um, but also
If you're,
that streaming service, I don't think it generated any revenue whatsoever. He
um,
just started one, and that was it. It was there. Nobody bought anything, I guess.
or they did, and he's not telling you.
Yeah,
We
that
got
might also be the case, but it most likely the other way around. That he didn't marketing, so nobody knows it existed, so nobody went there and watched movies.
we have a question from Mac, and he says, Gustav, how do you go about financing your projects? If that's not a personal question, cheers.
It's my money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
was
it's
going to
it's
talk to you
like
about. I was going to talk to you about your first budgeted movie. What was the first movie that you made that you had a budget for?
uh, that was technically the movie Floor Below, which was someone who
Okay.
invested money separately, but they were so incredibly questionable that
Mm,
I can basically talk an hour about these people. But now we have skipped forward. We can go through the other movies before that because there is a few between there. But the next movie we made after Rape Man was a movie called Jaws of the Shark, and that we also looked at what was popular and what was absurd and what needs to be parodied. So there was a bunch of terrible shark movies coming out, and we come to the conclusion to make the most terrible shark movie that was also legitimately funny
that'd be
because
good. My friend Eric, from here, internet, it's Eric. He loves bad shark movies. He
then you
loves.
should watch my shark movie
I'm gonna,
because
I'm gonna, I'm gonna have to
un-
find a copy of it and send it to him.
unless Sis has already seen it, it's also free on YouTube. It was distributed by SRS Cinema
Oh,
recently.
congratulations,
Yes,
SRS, Ron Bonk. Oh, that's great.
yes, yes. Because we were like, oh, it's a shark with legs and with a chainsaw that kills teenagers.
Sounds, you know what? That sounds just like my cup of tea. I'm in
Yes,
for it.
yes. And we started making this movie with like this is probably gonna have some attention with shark movie people. And
Uh,
then there was a release of a poster, only a poster, and they won the competition, Sharknado.
right, right. Oh, so Jaws of the Shark came out when Sharknado did.
Yes,
Um, man, that is bad luck.
yeah, but
That is
like
bad.
then again, it was a more really fucking bad.
But was it really a bad thing though? I mean, to me, I would think that I'm not really upset about this. I'm not really like
No, no, I
I'm
like
going like I'm like
Sharknado.
hey,
I
yeah.
I think they are
So,
fantastic, but
mhm.
but we thought we were gonna take the spotlight. Like here's a shark movie, but it's even stupider and also more effort and funny because it is no digital things and it's just practical
Right.
people in costumes that die in absurd ways.
Now, I heard you mention earlier that obviously we talked a little bit about the Evil Dead, and you built a cabin for the set in a week.
Yeah.
So I take it you're very creative in that way. Like,
Yes.
did you make your own costumes for the for
I,
Jaws of
I
the Fair?
I made costumes and makeup and props and sets, and I built everything. And so I do 90% of everything, and then 10% will be filled in with other actors and a cameraman and a sound and the music person.
God, that's all. Now, is it like that today?
Yes, it's still like this today for me.
So there hasn't been a growth in the talent pool, like
Yeah,
when you
it has.
first start.
Yes, it has been. I've learned to notice people, and like the guy who made Evil Ed is helping me.
Uh,
The splatter movie from the 90s.
which I'm sorry, I'm
Evil
looking.
Evil Ed.
Oh, Evil Ed, yes. I think Evil Ed came out on Blue Moon, if I'm not mistaken.
Most likely. And also Arrow made a release recently, like
Did they?
a few years ago of it. So they made this fantastic, and also the makeup person Göran Lundström, who worked on that movie. He has, he was had an Oscar nomination for House of Gucci. So they have gone some places.
Yeah.
But anyway, that splatter movie from the 90s, you should absolutely watch it because it's hilarious.
But I'm just, to me, I'm encouraged.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point in time, as we're talking about the films as we're climbing up, I'm noticing that things do seem to be getting better. Like
Yes.
the technology is better. It's a shame about the crew quitting. That's independent film though for you, regardless
Yes.
where you're at. But it does seem like, when I asked that question about the talent pool, it's like, when you first started out, there might have been like 5 people that could have did a lighting, that could, that were, could did lights for you. Now
Yes.
you look over there, now there's 50 people that you could ask
Yes.
to come do. So that's progress, right?
Yes, but also I don't really need them because lights are so light. You can put them out yourself, and you can
Yeah,
even connect them to your phone and stuff like that. So you adapt.
I was using it as an example, because I was thinking to myself, I mean, it'd be before, you could call up for a lighting guy, and maybe there wasn't one available because nobody else did it.
Yeah.
But now that's something you don't have to worry about. Now it's like, or grips, or building the cabin, or that sort of thing. Now there's more of a talent pool to draw upon. If someone says no to you now, like, hey, do you want to come over and be my second AD? Now I got something going right now. Instead of sitting there going like, well, I'll wait for you because there's nobody else out there. Now you have the choice of sitting there saying, okay, that's great. We'll try to do something in the future, and then you go to your second choice. So you are getting a talent pool there, and that's exciting to hear.
Yes.
So we did a shark movie. Now did that movie get any press from your?
Very, very little. We really tried to send this to like all the outlets that should, pick up these things. Like some people tell me, oh, this guy in Fangoria who only writes about shark movies. Send it to him. No answer. So it was very difficult to get any press when you send a lot of, here's something fun you should watch, and they basically didn't even fucking open the email, I guess, because I think that would really draw their attention.
Right. But you know what? You got to, I'm sure some of the filmmakers and artists in the chat they'll agree with this. Anybody's watching on replay, but you got to respect your effort. You got to respect that. I mean, you were trying. There's a lot of people now that'll make a movie and they'll expect it to sell itself.
Yeah.
I love the idea that you value the power of the press. Like, you do understand that it's important to get it out there, and it must have been incredibly frustrating, especially in your hometown, and not to get anything.
Yeah, but that's the thing that I am. There is a lot of things that people do that never seen the light of day, like for multiple reasons, and I think you should keep this in mind. There is a possibility that no one will notice anything. Because if you think that you can, if your expectation is like, let's say everybody who starts a YouTube channel, there is very few that will be successful.
Very.
Most people will just try it and no one is watching and you will never hear about them. And I think this is actually the stories that should be told more, like people who goes to Hollywood and they didn't work. They didn't find a job. They just went back to their home.
Yeah.
They tried. They didn't work. Because you only hear about the success stories.
I think though today, and I think I really do feel this way. I do feel like if you're going to be acting today, it's almost to the point where it's like this is the best time ever in history to be an actor,
Oh
because
yes.
there's so many I mean, there's so many outlets. You don't, like you said, you don't need a studio. You can make your own film. You can put it on YouTube. You can probably put it on a streaming service or whatnot. It is, and you can find actors anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, there's it's a great time to be an actor, or it's just like if you're going inside of it expecting to make a lot of money, like a lot of people join YouTube, like I'm going to be a big YouTube star. You and everybody else, right? I mean, good luck with that. But it's just not because of their talent. There's a lot of people out there that have a tremendous amount of talent, but it takes more than that to get to it takes more than that to make a movie, to get it out to out there to distributors.
Yeah. Yeah.
It takes a lot. It takes connections. It takes a history with a distributor. It takes a lot of things.
Yeah.
And it's not just it's like I made a movie. It's awesome. I'm sure it is, but you're still gonna have to go through the paces to get it shown.
Yeah.
Whereas before, like you said, here in America, you make a movie, and a few years ago, we were at where you're at as far as I made a movie, and it's like it's like or it's like, but now it does seem like there's more acceptance. You make a movie, and people go out there and they'll look your movie up and they want to see it. They want to see what you've done. Um, it's not so bad. It's not as bad as it used to be. Now instead of one actor fighting for for 10 spots, or 10 actors fighting for one spot.
Yeah.
Now you got like 30, but they're competing for 10 spots. It's a
Yes.
lot more progress.
A friend of mine tells me sometimes, "Oh, well, don't you wish you did it in the '80s?" And I was like, "No, because if you didn't reach out, then you only showed it to your friends and family. It was so much harder." So now it's the good time. But then again, you have to do something that is eye-catching now.
Yeah.
So everything has its pros and cons for the time you live in. Like, yeah. But then again, I make all my things and I'm financing them myself and do 90% of it. Then also the risk, if it doesn't work, it will not financially ruin me or someone else.
Yeah, financing is now what do you do to finance your films? I mean, if you don't mind me asking this, what are some of the steps you do? You take, I know
Well, I
you
do
do.
other work, like I built, for other movies, costumes and effects and stuff like that. So that money is usually put into this. So other people's movie money is making my movies.
Oh, that's, well, you know what? By hook or by crook, right?
Yes.
Whatever it takes to get it done. So
Yes.
you yourself are hired on as crew on other projects.
Yes. Like for example, there was a theater this summer. It needed to build a bunch of oversized furniture in styrofoam, which I built, for example. Or I do also have, due to I live on the countryside. I have the space in like barns, and someone near me has a school that was closed down in 2005, where I build all the sets in, so I can have my studio things there. So it can be like self-contained, and due to it's not in the city where it's cost like a few thousand to rent a studio space, I do it very cheaply.
Um, how many, in your opinion, how many people out there right now in Sweden are actively making film? I mean, do you know, like how many? I mean, serious people, people with more than one feature film underneath their belt. How many
Oh,
people out there are actually are making film right now
that's is
compared
a
to when you first
very
started?
yeah, that's a very it's a very hard question to answer because I don't know all these people. But there are people that I know about. There is the people that there's one movie what was it's going to cinemas very soon. It's called Guy Manley, which is some kind of Kung Fury like movie. Um, and that seems interesting. And I think they made their first movie at the moment, but I'm sure they're gonna make another one because that seems to be a fantastic success. I'm really looking forward to seeing it. But there is a like a few people that also I work with some of them also. But there is one guy called Jonas Vulture who's made a Swedish zombie movie, and also he also tried to make a fish movie at the moment, a sea monster movie. But it's very much of a struggle with that because the production was very problematic, and I took my camera and made a coverage of that. So I've cut together part one of a documentary series about that
Trying to
because
make
there were so much interesting things that happened. There was an
now.
actor showed up that was blind.
Oh wow, wow. Was he supposed to play the monster?
No,
No.
he
I
was
was gonna
supposed to be
say
eaten by the
you,
monster.
you can make him into the monster and have him stumble all over the place. I mean,
Yeah, I built a monster puppet for the fish, and it sank the first day because he ignored all my safety concerns with it.
you know what though? Do you feel like it's more because they don't? Because I mean, I'm actually sitting over here and going like, honest to God, my mind is sort of blown right now because when I think of Sweden, the Swedish films, the last thing that comes to my mind is a monster movie. It's like I keep on thinking of all these heavy dramas that you guys do. You know, like all these dramatics. You know,
Yeah, Ingmar
the
Bergman
heavy
stuff.
films. Yeah, it's like thinking about yeah, they're making a kaiju movie in Sweden. It's probably like the last thing I've ever I'm that's the last thing I would ever expect to see. Uh,
Well,
uh,
I made a concept trailer for that. Mega Moose.
oh, oh, and our friend Angela just walked in here and says, "Yay, monster movies!" And yeah, I love monsters. I love monster movies as well. How cool is that, man? I Please tell me that movie's going to be getting made. It is going to get made, right?
Mega Moose.
Is it
Uh,
Megan? I mean, I'd love to see some really fantastical fantasy movies come from Sweden. Um,
yes.
well,
There've been a
you know
few
what
in
though?
production.
I'm gonna put you on the spot right now though, right there, right now. I want because it's easy to tell you. I don't want your five favorite movies. I want your five favorite Swedish movies that you've watched.
Ooh.
What's the yes,
5 favorite Swedish movies.
yeah,
Uh,
movies? Here I am, and this is true. I don't know. I don't have any Swedish movies in my collection that I know of. So this is like an introduction for me. You're saying, Patrick, these movies
yes.
best represent Sweden. Here
You
you
should.
go.
Yes, I would absolutely say Evil Ed because I've seen it so many times and it's so fantastic in many many ways. It's a fantastic
Okay.
splatter comedy, um, and because I have to think about which Swedish movies I have seen the most time. And there's one that's called Picasso's Adventure, which is a movie from the 70s, which has so many visual gags, and it's like what would you call it? A fake autobiography movie about Pablo Picasso.
Hmm. And
Uh,
they play it for laughs.
yes, and you can watch it with the English narration because all when they speak Spanish and English and German and French, it's all gibberish. They just when they talk Italian. So it's very easy to consume this movie.
I love it. I
Yes.
love it. Sort of like a Monty Python.
Oh yes, it's very multiple. It's made the same year as Life of Brian.
It looks like Snow has seen your movie and said Picasso was a joke. Yeah, I guess so. That would be it would be an interesting movie to see.
Yes. So now we have two.
Yeah, too. Yeah.
Yes, and then we also have Thriller, a cruel movie, which I've seen multiple times, which is the movie that inspired Tarantino to make Kill Bill, which is a grindhouse revenge movie. I think it's called Hooker with a Shotgun or something, in
Okay.
or Hooker's Revenge, but she is like she has a long uh, leather suit and a eye patch and a shotgun. So.
Oh God, yeah. So yeah, I can see when you're mentioning that, I'm thinking about all the characters. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so that's a thriller, a cruel movie is one of the titles. But that was one of the few movies that was made in Sweden and also banned in Sweden in the 70s.
You guys don't have that now, right? Video nasties. Those they don't have that now.
No, we in like 2005 they shut down the censor department here in Sweden, and so nowadays you just have put your what do you call it, distributor, and if you have something illegal in the movie, that person will be the one who's have to go to prison if there is something illegal in the movie.
Oh, right. So if they say that there is and there isn't, they can go to jail. Wow.
Yes, you are the responsible distributor. So let's say you make a movie and it's like normal movie, and then someone has cut in child pornography, and the rest of the movie that's illegal. So then you can go to prison for that. So,
Yeah.
you are then responsible for the movie's distribution, and you will take the consequences if there's something illegal in it.
What is considered illegal? What are there things that you cannot do in terms of making a film in Sweden?
No.
I was gonna say.
I mean, like before there was like like in the 60s, well, there was a guy who took everything that was cut out from Swedish movies in the whole history of its existence, and some of the clips was just two women questioning why they should be married to men. That was cut out because that seems to be inappropriate in the 60s.
Wow, that is
stuff like that. And then it was just, I think the last movie that they cut something out of was Casino in 1995.
Okay.
Because I think it was the scene where they are smashing his fingers with a hammer.
Right. Yeah.
But then again,
don't mind Joe Pesci getting beat up in the cornfield, but with those fingers, no, we're good.
yes.
That is interesting to me. So when you make your films now, it's a wide open table. You could do whatever you want.
Yes.
Do you write your own movies as well? Are you a screenwriter as well?
Yes, I have written all the movies I have made.
Okay.
But the movies I have worked on has been with other directors, and but like when I was working with Mr. Mariandora on Maria D, the whole script was in German, so it was a little bit hard to know what to do. So it was like, what's we're gonna do tomorrow, so I can fix that.
Now, when you're on set, and let's say you're making costumes.
Yeah.
Do you find other directors coming up to you and asking for your opinion about certain things like shots or composition or
no.
Really?
No, it was one guy who I worked with multiple times. He basically, this is what I want. Can you build this? Yes. And then like a few weeks will pass. Oh, well, we have scrapped this.
Oh, did you scrap the whole movie?
No, the things I have built, so it was never end up being used anyway. So I have a like Edge of Tomorrow exoskeleton that I built that was never used. Try to find a use for. It's made out of aluminium, so it's quite heavy and durable.
Oh,
I have it on my YouTube channel how to build it because I filmed the whole process.
let me ask you this, Gustav.
Yes.
Now we hear about collaborations all the time. We hear it between actors and directors.
Yeah.
It was a good collaboration. I like teaming up with this person or whatnot. And you're right, Snow. Lady Snowblood was also inspiration for Kill Bill. Yes, that's one of the few criterions I own. Um, why don't more directors collaborate? What's the I mean, if I came up to you as a director and I said, "Listen, I got an idea for this shark movie, um, but I'm gonna need some help with it. I want you to co-direct this movie with me, or pick your brain, or talk. I want let's have a meeting once a week, and I want to go over whatever I'm doing, and I want to get your input." Why don't we see that more with directors? Are directors are they the most solitary and yet predatory person on? I mean, predatory in the fact that they're very protective of their turf. Is that the hardest part to be in the process of being a film director? Is that you really feel like you can't ask for help?
It's a very good question you're asking here because there's multiple people that's like, oh, we should make something together,
Hmm.
and then they pitched the story, and I said, well, to make this possible, maybe cut this and move this here, and because you work with such a small resources, especially where there's one thing that due to I have this access to this school, which has like 7 beds on the second floor, and then you have the classrooms on the first floor where you can build sets in and stuff like that. It's a very self-contained, very good way to work. But most when they talk, oh, it's too far to travel from Stockholm, it's like 2 hours, so they ignore it. And because I don't understand why it's such a focus to be on in Stockholm to do everything, because you have so much more possibilities outside of
Right.
that's like. And also because when I write my stuff, it's more like, what can I build and what do I have access to and what can I so you don't make something that it's later will be impossible to make.
Right. So
uh,
in some regards, your scripts are sort of limited. You can only
yeah, but
go.
it's not a bad thing to limit yourself because the best creativity comes within boundaries.
Right. I can see that. As soon as you
So
said it, I'm going like I can see that. I mean, because let's say you have a $15,000 budget. Yes, it's easy to sit there and write a massive story, but when you
yes,
only have $15,000, you can't really. You're writing a $2 million film, but you only got a $15,000 budget. So as a screenwriter, you have to sit there and go like, well, I know what I'd like to write,
yeah,
but in actuality, I have to write to what I have. And
yes,
so I don't think you necessarily lose anything. In fact, I dare say that writing for a lower budget project probably makes you into a damn good screenwriter.
yes. Let's
Because,
let's take an example here. If they had access to 5 more houses when they made Evil Dead, I think it would be a worse movie.
mm, right, you're right. I mean, if you're right, if they had done that like a Nightmare on Elm Street or Halloween, where they're running from house to house to house to house,
Yes,
you're right, but it worked for Evil Dead because they were, what do they call it? A bottle film where they only
yeah,
have basically just one set.
yeah,
And that's what really made it work for Evil Dead. I agree with that. I agree with that. I mean, that's what made it more suspenseful too, because
yes,
there's nowhere for them to go. When you see them go out in the car and they can't go anywhere, where do they go to? Back to the house. They go outside, they get molested by some branches. Where do they go to? Back to the house.
yes,
So yeah, yeah, I agree with that.
yeah. So
So
like limitations are actually good to write. This is what I have to work with.
hmm,
Um,
Well, let's talk. As one aspect, since you do a lot of your own films, let's talk about the talent base as far as actors go. Um, what is your opinion of Swedish acting right now in Sweden? Not the big stars. We know who they are, but
Yeah.
what's it like casting? Like if you're going to cast your movie for for the fish monster movie,
Yeah, the
how
Fish
many
Monster
people?
movie.
And you put out there, I'm auditioning for a fish monster. How many people will actually show up that would?
Well, I have two other, but like when I was making another movie where we tried to find some young girl to be in the movie, and it was hopelessly difficult because they were just scared away by the content of the movie and stuff like that. So I went through like 80 people, and we ended up with not finding anyone. We were down to two people. One of them is going to have in the new movie here because I usually the people who are the most enthusiastic when they are looking for the job is usually the ones I end up with. Like, I want to be in this movie and I want to have this role. It sounds fantastic because they
Yeah,
will usually do a very good job and they will have see this is interesting and fun. If you find someone who's like, oh, okay, but how much is the daily pay? What does the union say about this? Like, I don't think you're very interested. So that's why I usually go to the people who are most enthusiastic and think this is interesting and new and fun.
right, right. I get. Yeah. Let's see. Let me go back to the chat real quick.
Yeah.
And it's about their own friends killing them. Yeah. Lady Snowblood, and the Kill Bills. Yep. And our friend Karma is here. She says, as a creator, I find it difficult to let others critique or insert their own thoughts into my work. Yeah, that's why I say directors make the best editors, because they understand what a director's what they want, and they're not going to put their voice into it. They're going to try their very best to they're going to try the very best to put your voice into it, like because they can relate to you as a director. An editor that's just straight out an editor might not see what the director is trying to do and put his own spin on it. I just think that directors know better. And Snow is sitting there. Uh, Snow says, "I'm writing a short story called Scare Me to the Fin, a fishing horror story." All right, so there's fishing horror here today in the chat, and here is our fellow ISC Midnighter, and this is the lady who picked out the movie The Cured. This is the one that picked it out for us to watch, and we deep dived it. I'll send you the link. Mary Wilson is in the house. What's going on, Mary? Yeah, fish horrors. I'm trying to wrap my brain around a Swedish creature feature, and I'm in for it. I'm all in for it. I'd love to see it. Um, so you go ahead and you look for not you're right. I mean, people coming up to you asking for SAG pay or SAG rate or what have you, knowing that this movie is going to be. I mean, it's a catch-22 again. Is the fact that yes, they are a union actor and they ask for it, but they also want to work. They want to work. Um, and I think that's the reason why they asked. They have to. But to me, it's like I just feel like if you're a card actor in Sweden, you know that the jobs that you're going to get within your home country are going to be far and few between. They're not going to be a whole lot of them out there. So why not do independent film in your hometown and do union work outside? Like in Denmark or not Denmark,
Yeah.
and like the Netherlands or Great Britain or France or whatnot. But have the idea, knowing that I'm going to make Gustav's job a lot easier. I'll work for the lowest rate that I can legally ask for because I want to be part of. Because think about it, like how many movies a year are released that are filmed and filmed in Sweden? How many movies actually?
It's here's the thing, that it's about 30 a year that is released on cinema. And on as I told you, that the problem is marketing. That every new year I have this competition, a little quiz show about Swedish movies, where I read the title of it, and there's 1 point. If you can from the title figure out what's about. You get 2 points if you have heard about the movie at all, and 3 points if you have seen it. And it usually ends with people win with like 7 points.
Jeez. Yeah.
So
That's just
yeah,
that blows me away because this is the other thing about that's great about today's. We're talking about earlier about there's a lot more opportunity out there for actors. But there's also a lot more opportunity to do press. I mean, here you are, right here, right now. You're talking to me. We're doing press. This is an interview. This is press.
yes.
How hard is it? How hard is it to do this? But you know, but it doesn't seem like a lot of filmmakers realize that I need to reach out and get on some of these people's shows and talk about my movie. And the thing is, though, there's so much out there, so much competition out there that if you're not aggressive as far as marketing your film, however you can do it, you're not going to get any press out of it.
Yeah, but it's also like, if no one will do it for you, you have to do it yourself. And it's like, that is, I had this meeting with this Italian horror director, which I had a meeting with, and he was basically mostly under this meeting talked about the importance of firing people. And it was just, I had really hard to understand. And I asked the question, like, how can I help you? And I don't remember what I answered. And I asked the other people when we was on the subway from this meeting, like, what did he actually answer any of you on? So it's like I've made this movie, and other people will do everything else for me that I have, because I am the director. Some of them are so full of themselves, but the thing is that you live in a reality where you cannot really expect people to do things for you. So you have to do it yourself, or like make sure that it gets done. Like, oh, we put out an ad in the newspaper. Okay, but did anyone see it? Could we make it better? Like, have you told people that you go see it on this platform, or buy a
Right.
ticket? Like, you're a little bit of if you want someone to see your work, you have to tell them about it.
Yes. Yes.
Even if
Uh,
it is like you just open the door and just shout out, "Watch my movie, neighbor!"
I mean, even you're right. I mean, even if it's an older piece of work, maybe like maybe it is your first or second film. To me, is like it's still important. It's still vital. Everything that you create is vital. It deserves to be talked about. And you and I were talking earlier about collaborating with directors. Right? Why don't directors collaborate a lot more? And then I'm hearing you tell the story about the Italian director, and I'm thinking, I think I just got my answer.
Yes, some of them are full of themselves, but he was a quite extreme example. But more, they have a certain vision of something, and if they're not very good at explaining their visions to you, or like accepting the input, like I want to make a movie about someone who's traveling in a car. Okay, but we can make it interesting by having the car change color or shape, or something like that, to make it more interesting. And I was like, how are we going to do that? Well, we can film it like this. And I say, like, as a visual effects supervisor, like, film it from that angle, and we can put this in on their side, and it will be cool. Like, yeah, but I wanted the camera to move. Well, then we cannot do it, and that's the end of that idea. So I
Mm,
think there is people that can be worked with, but it's like you
I,
have to listen.
I, I was, I
You
was,
have to like listen to both sides and then figure out what is the best idea. But some people are like, oh, well, I didn't have that in mind. I understand that, but
Man, I'm still wrapping my head around 30 releases a year. I mean, over here, we call 30. What we call 30 releases here in the United
what
States.
Asylum is doing.
Oh snap! Are we? Oh, you know about the Asylum?
Of course.
Really? Oh
Yes.
my God, that's embarrassing.
They are
Mm,
fantastic. Some of them, most of them are just unwatchable. They
Oh,
have some
oh.
gems. One of my favorite is Nazis at the Center of the Earth, which is
I
just
don't know what
such
this
a
is.
ridiculously funny movie.
You know what? It's funny. As I actually reviewed the classic from 1959. I watched it for the first time in years. I cannot tell you how much I loved that movie. That movie was awesome with James Mason and Arlene Dahl. That was an amazing movie. Um, yeah, I didn't know you guys knew about the Asylum. Oh, that's crazy. Um, what? How hard or easy is it for Swedish movie fans? Maybe this is one of the things that's going on. Is physical media still a thing in Sweden? I mean, like, do you collect
Uh,
movies? Do you collect movies yourself?
well, yes. I'm not in my home at the moment, but I have about 1,500 Blu-rays and DVDs.
Twelve
Uh,
thousand five hundred.
yes, because most of them I usually watch and I sell them if I don't think they are worth keeping. So there have been a lot of movies passing through.
Okay.
So yeah, and me and my friend Jesper, who else I'm working with on the writing and making my movies with, we usually take weekends where we watch about 8 movies.
Um, I'm trying to think of his. I know his name. God, I know his. I always call him Gizmo. That's how I know him. That's embarrassing, but I think his name is Reihart. He made a movie called. I want to say He's Sweden.
I don't
Have you
think
ever
we were
heard of a
talking
movie?
about.
Have you ever heard of a movie called Christmas Blood?
No.
No. Okay. I'm just trying to think of some of the because see, I don't get to see that. We don't get to see that many movies. Especially independent Swedish movies. We don't get a chance to see them over here in the States.
Well, with some of them are distributed, but maybe it's not distributed wide enough. That's the what I have to think about. Well, Triangle of Sadness was made by a Swedish director.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
Yes, and
What about you? What are you working on besides the Evil Dead musical?
musical. Yeah, working on my finishing my cyborg movie, which is called Synthetically Dead, which is it needs like I'm waiting for a few shots that are have to be some After Effects things putting on them, and also some dubbing on a few lines. But it's just I'm waiting for that so I can send it to mastering because we are gonna have to show it so soon. But that
Uh,
is a cyborg movie because I don't think there have been a cyborg movie in a long time.
I'm listening to this Gustav, and I'm going like, this is badass because, like, again, it's like when we think of Sweden, we don't think of these kind of movies coming out of your country.
Yes.
We just don't. We always think of Ingmar Bergman,
Yes. Well, that's
Max
why I
von
made
Sydow.
Root of Darkness in 2015, which was basically Evil Dead on Ingmar Bergman Swedish, because everybody is speaking in a very weird way in the old Bergman movies. No
Yeah,
one
it's
is speaking naturally.
is horror big in Sweden? I mean,
Oh yes.
are horror movies? I mean, are they very popular?
Oh yes.
Oh, okay. What are some of your favorite horror movies besides Evil Dead, which we know?
Oh yes. Well, except for dropping the classics like The Thing and which has been
I'm talking
hugely
about.
influential. But one of the movies that I have watched many times because I'm very fascinated by it and I think it's very good. It's called Possum, and it's a British horror movie. about a guy finding a bag with a weird doll in that looks like a spider, and it's some kind of surrealist movie. It's very depressing and fantastic. And another one that horror movie. It's not really a horror movie because this is like the movies that like really blends in a weird way that I really like. Like Cronenberg, I really like, except for when he makes the really boring movies like Metropolis, which I think it's. I mean, Cronenberg has made amazing movies or really really boring movies. That's like his.
Yeah, hit and miss.
Yeah, like Maps to the Stars, which nobody's talking about because it's so incredibly uninteresting.
Yeah, I had that movie. I got that movie because it had Julianne Moore in it, but I still have
Yeah,
not watched it yet.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Anyway, and also, I mean, I can name drop movies for an eternity here, I guess. But Dr. Caligari from 1989 is also one of my. I really love how surreal it is.
oh, that's great. I'm just thinking with your collection, 12,500. I'm thinking
Now
that guy probably has
1,500, not
a,
12,000. I don't have space for that.
how many did you say you had? I thought you
I
said
have
you had
1,500. I have
1,500.
that
Well,
I have
still, that's
shelf
still good.
space. I have shelf space for that, but I probably have owned 12,000 movies because I'm very good at sorting them out and selling them.
That's what I thought you said. I thought you said 12,000. Well, man, that's a lot of movies. I don't know how he would keep them in order, in
It's
alphabetical
also
order.
yes, alphabetical, and
Wow,
genre movie, and also Demon Seeds from 1977,
Julie
which is
Christie. Julie Christie.
fantastic horror sci-fi movie, which I have
All right.
watched multiple times. So,
Now,
so
do you draw any inspiration from any other people into your career? Is any other
oh yes.
directors? Who are some of your biggest influences?
Uh, well, after I worked with Mr. Mariandora, I learned a lot, even though he's a exceptionally difficult man. You like learn because he like how he like frames and how he like portrays people and stuff like that in a way that nobody else is doing. Um, so I think it's like you need like inspiration is you know you should like experience as much things as possible because you can find inspiration in everything. Because if you just let's say you just I want to make a horror movie, so I watch a lot of horror movies. Yes, that is a good thing, but if you're going to make something new and interesting, you have to blend something or have a take on something that nobody has done before.
Yeah,
Like as you said with that zombie idea that if you wake them up from the dead and they remember that they have run around and biting people, they will probably have some second thoughts about their behaviors.
I'm just thinking how cool it is in one respect that that the fact that it seems like over here in America, it seems like all the ideas have just been flattened to death. As far as originality goes. But for Sweden, because they haven't made those movies yet, they
Yeah,
haven't
but
made.
there's a lot of people who doesn't make original stuff here also. I will tell you that.
What there's a lot of. Well, do you feel like there's a lot of original works being made in Sweden? I mean, stuff that we have not seen yet.
I mean, there are things in production which I think is interesting, but
Yeah.
also when they want to work with me and I like try to say, can we punch this up a little bit, so it a little bit more different takes on things. Like my friend who made a zombie movie, and it was I read the script and it was like one zombie that was supposed to walk around with a portable speaker in his hand. He just said that he was just walking on the street with a speaker in his hand. And I took one of a mask I had and I built it. And instead of him holding it, I made the jaw split open, and he's just put it between his split jaws. They have the speaker sitting there, and I thought that was more visually interesting than having that. But he was, oh no, we're not going to have that. and then you just replace it with someone who looks dirty with like a scar on his face, so it's bleeding. So I took all the rejected zombie things I made, and I made a cyborgs for them in the my movie instead.
Oh, well,
Like
that's what
for example, they had
That's what Brian just said. Yeah, and you know what? What a perfect way.
yes,
What a perfect statement, because he says here, he says filmmakers need to think outside the box. See,
yes,
here you go. You made a creation. It didn't, the other guy didn't want it, but you saw that and going like, you know what? That's still a good idea. I still think
yes.
I can make it work. And you go ahead and you take. I think that's
Yeah.
bloody brilliant
Like
myself.
also in the script, there was a zombie that was lying on the ground in the forest and was a little bit overgrown, and then rises up with this basket with berries in and stuff like that. And I was when I was reading that, like, oh yeah, let's make half of the face be stuck to the ground, so when it lifts up, the exposes the skeleton and flesh and stuff like that because it's been stuck to the ground.
Right.
And that was also rejected. So I used that in my cyborg movie instead, where he's lifting up his face from the ground, and you see the red eye
You know
under
what?
it.
We don't. Okay, so maybe no, I have to sit there and say I have not seen Dead Snow, so I can't speak to it.
Oh,
Mm.
it's a funny movie.
But the idea of of a zombie being frozen to the ground and then raising up and having taken off half his face.
Yes, that does not
I've never
happen
heard
in
anybody,
Dead Snow either.
I've never heard anybody do that. I don't think I've ever seen a movie where I've seen that before. Let's see. Yeah, yeah, me too. Oh wow, this is I love the zombie ideas you're talking about. Me
Yeah,
too, because it's fresh and original. And
yeah.
I
So
think what's really cool about it is because I don't know, it just seems like everything has been done here already. So
yes,
I think it's really cool to hear some of your ideas, and you're thinking about how it's like this is really fresh. No one's done that here.
yes.
It's
So
as a horror fan, I'm excited.
yeah, the one with the speaker in the mouth, I basically built from that speaker because it was some kind of magnetic thing you could separate. So I made a claw there and made him more cyborgy. So he has a claw that opens, and then it just attached to a person's neck. And then when it just pulls his face back, you see the whole like tube, the tail from the. So it's like a
Right.
face hugger, but coming out of the face instead and hugging someone.
You know what? You got to hurry up and finish this movie.
Yeah, well,
So you can
it's
take,
very soon going to be finished. So
yes. Listen, Gustav, man, I could go on here. We could talk forever. I have a feeling, but my time has run out. And so
no,
but you know what though? You will come back. I can already tell you by looking at the chat here. If I don't bring you back, they're gonna come. They're gonna come for me and put my face on that frozen ground. I'll tell you that. It'll be me go. Ah! But fantastic talking with you, and I cannot wait. Um, I can't wait to see some of your films. I'm gonna look up the shark movie.
yes,
You said it was on YouTube on your channel. I'm gonna have to
no,
get.
it's not on my channel, but I can link it to you.
Okay, link it to me because I'm gonna watch that movie. We're gonna talk about it. Because
Yes.
like I said, my friend Eric loves shark movies, and remember to tell him that too. It's hey internet, it's Eric. When you see him, ask him how much he loves shark movies because he really loves shark movies. Uh, I'm not even kidding you. I have proof. I have proof. I have him reviewing shark movies. Um, uh, uh,
It's time for Yours of the Shark to be reviewed.
shark movies are the bomb. All right, so thank you so much for coming out. I want to thank our chat. Our chat has really been lighting it up today. I appreciate it so much. I'm so glad everybody was able to make it. Yes, thank you so much for coming in, Brian, and everybody coming in. Mr. Bones floating in. Yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we'll have you come back for definitely. Once your film gets done and ready for show, we'll have you come back and talk about it. Your cyborg movie. What's
Yeah,
the title of the movie's name?
synthetically dead.
synthetic. Oh, see, I knew that was gonna. I knew. See, you said it once before. I went in one ear after the other because I knew
Yes.
I knew I was gonna have to say it. Synthetically dead.
Dead.
Okay. If I say it
It's a
slow,
great title, which I have
it is a
thinking about
great
for
title.
many years. Like we should
I
make
just
something with this
I
title.
just can't say it fast. Don't make me say it fast. Synthetically dead. When that is ready for release and ready to go, we will have Gustav come back and we will talk about it and have him bring a couple of his cast members along with him, so we can discuss the movie.
Yes, I
Yeah,
will ask them.
yeah. Again, to the chat, I want to thank you so much. Stay there for one more second, Gustav. I just want to say we'll be back tonight at 8 o'clock. We'll be back at 8 o'clock, and we'll be talking with Ryder Hartman. Will be here at 8 o'clock, young filmmaker from Canada, and we'll be talking about his short film Auto Heist and his career. And he's a young filmmaker such as yourself on the rise. Both of you guys are on the rise. I can see that now, and that will be at 8 o'clock. Thank you guys. On tomorrow night, I should mention it tomorrow night. Tomorrow night we'll be having Mika and Kira, also known as Double Feature Podcast, and they will be here, and we'll be talking all sorts of films. And they got a kick-ass channel too. So that'll be tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. So you stay right where you're at, Gustav. Hopefully, I will
Yes.
see some of you folks tonight at 8 o'clock. We won't be seeing Gustav at 8 o'clock because he'll be sleeping. But otherwise,
Yes.
otherwise that we'll see you tonight at 8 o'clock. And thank you again for your support. I appreciate it. Hang out right real quick, Gustav. Let's see. Let me do this first so I don't mess up.